Welcome to Sunday Assembly. It is so good to see you all here. I always have it on grid view so I can see everybody milling about. And I really love when you share your screen with us, but you don't have to. Instead of our old setup in person where we have a privacy area, you can just turn off your screen and show up in your pajamas, or like I did last month, show up, turn on your screen, still be in your pajamas. It's great. This is our 81st Sunday Assembly, which is 81 months of us meeting together. So if you bought a vehicle when we first started, it's probably either paid off by now or pretty close, right? 81 months. So congratulations to you. That would count as a Life Happens, which is our segment coming up where we share stories about our lives and things that happen that are good, like paying off your vehicle, or things that are sad, or just whatever's happening with you. If you have something to share, send me a message in the chat, just direct to me, and I will read them all out. Also, please go to our program. It will be appearing in the chat. Maybe we'll stick it back there for people that just showed up. And our lyrics to all our songs are on there, our order of services on there, and it's also available on Meetup or Facebook events if you need a way to get to it. Because this is an online assembly, you might see people from other assemblies. I see 2 Londoners, and I know you're probably not living in London, but you're Londoners to me. So, because Sunday Assembly London is where I know you from, including our speaker who is represents the UK. So if you want, you can change your name, click on rename, and say where you're from, or your favorite bird fact. We've been talking about birds all morning. So Sunday Assembly is a non-religious, secular community who meets once a month, usually in person, unless there is a random worldwide pandemic, to eat snacks and sing songs and hear from science speakers or leaders in the community, and just learn together and be together and have this community. Our motto is to live better, help often, and wonder more. So the person who helped come up with our motto is our speaker today, here to hype her book, but also to just talk about life, because that is what brings us together and what we want to share, this one life that we know for sure that we have, and that we can share together and live better. And it's been so meaningful to me, especially this last year, to continue that online. And this is our 12th online virtual assembly, which means, goodness, 12 of these things. And I think we took a month off right when the pandemic hit, because we didn't know, we've never done a Zoom before, right? So it's been over a year, but these things have come together with an amazing team, the programming committee, which I'm not a part of, that just gets all our speakers together and reaches out. And we've been able to have speakers from all over the world. So there have been some silver linings and bright lights during an otherwise hard time. All right, every assembly has a theme. The theme this month is opening up, which is going to be talked about by Pippa in Improv Your Life, and also it's literally opening up. It's been fun to see buildings start to reopen and kids start to do some in-person learning, and of course I'll be talking about that more later, because that is a mixed bag, right? All right, Paul, let's start this off with some music. What do you think?
I think that'd be a great idea. I'll sing this one to you, and then I'll help you with the words, because they're not in the thing. My grandmother was full of wisdom, and then at some point the cheese slipped off her cracker, and you'll notice when that happens. Be courteous, kind, and forgiving. Be gentle and peaceful each day. Be warm and human and grateful, and have a good thing to say. Be thoughtful, trustful, and childlike. Be witty and happy and wise. Be honest and love all your neighbors. Be obsequious, purple, and clairvoyant. Be pompous and rude and eat cactus. Be dull and boring and omnipresent. Criticize things you don't know about. Be oblong and have your knees removed. Never go on a date with Bigfoot or wear snowshoes out in a minefield. Try not to think of televangelists. Go into a closet and suck eggs. Be tasteless, rude, and offensive. Live in a swamp and be three-dimensional. Put a live chicken in your underwear. Get all excited and go to a yawning festival. Here we go. Help me out. Be courteous, kind, and forgiving. Be courteous, kind, and forgiving. Be gentle and peaceful each day. Gentle and peaceful, warm and human and grateful. Be warm and human and have a good thing to say. And have a good thing to say. Be thoughtful, trustful, and childlike. Be thoughtful and trustful and child. Witty and happy and wise. Witty and happy and wise. Be honest and love all your neighbors. Be obsequious, purple, and clairvoyant. Purple and clairvoyant. Be pompous, rude, and eat cactus. Be pompous, rude, and eat cactus. Be dull and boring and omnipresent. Dull and boring. Criticize things you don't know about. Criticize things you don't. Be oblong and have your knees removed. Oblong and have your knees removed. Y'all sound good out there, by the way. Never go on a date with Bigfoot. Never go on a date with a Bigfoot. Or wear snowshoes in a minefield. Or wear snowshoes in a mine. Try not to think of televangelists. Try not to think of televangelists. Go in a closet and suck eggs. Go in a closet and suck eggs. Okay, bring it home now. Be tasteless, rude, and offensive. Be tasteless, rude, and live in a swamp and be three-dimensional. Live in a swamp and be three-dimensional. Put a live chicken in your underwear. Put a live chicken in your underwear. Get all excited and go to a yawning festival. Get all excited and go to a yawning festival. Amen.
Woo! Wise, wise advice. All right, we have some life happens rolling in. So I'm just gonna read those out. If you have one to add, just send me a message directly in the chat. And if you hear one from someone else and it brings something to mind, get it in there quick. All right, this one is from Sarah. She has a flight booked to Pennsylvania in May to visit her family for the first time in a year and a half. Everyone will be fully vaccinated in time for her visit, and she's excited that her brother Jason is here on the Zoom call. Hi, Jason. All right, Leah has a I sprained a small yet valuable ligament deep in my wrist and will not have an opposable thumb until early June. And you just got like your voice back from that debacle. Good grief. All right, Oregon is treacherous, is what I'm getting. All right, Sandra has a couple things. Yesterday, Saturday, was an eventful day for me as I got to hug my parents for the first time in 9 months. It was the second week after our second shot. Oh man, I feel that next month for my kids and their grandparents. Also, a priest that was a great influence in my life passed away. He helped shape my understanding of social responsibility, charity, and community. This news is hitting me particularly hard today. I'm sorry. That is a wonderful eulogy. The best eulogies are just those short, poignant, summing up a life that well. Sounds like he was an incredible person. He or she, I assume he. Betsy, my daughter Amanda came up with the idea for an online course, contacted an author, and developed it. The course is called Career Strategies for Women Re-entering the Workforce After 2020. Wow, that's perfect. It's now available on LinkedIn Learning. That's awesome. Paul Svensson, who had a grandmother with incredible advice, had just celebrated his birthday Tuesday. He has either turned 29 or 68. He gave me both numbers. A friend of our Sunday Assembly who hosted some of our events, including, incredibly, my kid's birthday party during a pandemic where we couldn't invite anyone, but she had a pool, who was an amazing pianist, master gardener, gourmet cook, and quote unquote unstoppable, finally passed away a few days ago after a very long battle with illness that I think myself and many others would have succumbed to a lot sooner. She was an incredible person, and we all just miss her. Terry Peterson's stepfather, Clyde, passed away, and services will be on the 29th. Terry just spent a week in, I'm going to say this right, Pinnacles National Park and Monterey, and he had a 10-mile hike at 1,500-foot gain. I guess that's elevation. And he saw some California condors. That's kind of amazing. All right, Rachel and Steve. Rachel will be starting an online MS in criminal justice next month. That's awesome. Any others? I'm looking. All right, if you do have another life happens, just go ahead and share in the chat with everyone. This isn't super programmed, right? We want to hear from you and we want to share our lives together, and that is most of the reason we do this. And then after assembly, we are going to hang out for as long as you need us, or until our kids drag us off of here. So, all right, we have Help Happens next, which is the part of our motto that is help often. We try to do something good in our community, especially now that communities are opening up a little more. So Michelle, would you share what we're doing next?
Absolutely. April 24th is the 19th annual Creek Debate Cleanup, and we're going to be joining forces with another group. That's the City Heights Development Corporation and City Heights, and we're going to make a big impact on cleaning up that neighborhood. We're going to start in a central point and make our way outward in concentric circles until we have cleaned the whole world on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. But don't let that 8 a.m. start fool you at all, because you can come anytime, and wonderful people there. Slather yourself with sunscreen and come join us on April 24th, just 3 days after the Earth Day. So do something nice for the Earth. We'll see you there.
Awesome. I will definitely be there with as many kids as who will get up at 8 a.m. But it looks like I'm getting word that you don't have to show up right when it starts if you need to sleep in. All right, our reading today is Open Up by John Katz, read by some guy named Charles.
Open Up by John Katz. I don't want to live a small life. Open your eyes, open your mind, open your heart. I have just come from the dahlia garden, the first dahlia kissing me with its blood-red mouth. The wind-winged clouds roaring overhead, exciting me, sending me hurtling along, thinking I might perhaps catch a ride, feel the wind in my face. But no, the clouds rushed away, places to go. So I carry these dreams only to you, one of the last gifts I can ever bring to anyone in this world filled with love and hope and risk and fear. So do look at me. Listen to me. Open your soul, let it breathe. Open your life, open your heart. I don't want to live a small life of warning and fear.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Also the poem. All right, we should stop picking these readers just on their looks, guys. All right, our speaker today is Pippa Evans, a successful stage improv comic in London. She's here to convince us to buy her book. But we know her better as the co-founder of Sunday Assembly, without whom we would not all be here together celebrating this life at all. So Pippa.
Hello, hi everybody. So nice to be here. So lovely to see you. It's so amazing as well how many of you I actually know. So it's like, oh hello. Oh. So I've mostly just spent the last half an hour flicking through, going, oh, it's you. So that's very nice for me, which is also a great testament, isn't it, to Sunday Assembly San Diego, that you've held on to so many people that you just love. You have such a great time together. So thank you for having me, and thank you for keeping on making this amazing thing happen. So yes, as Alexa said, I'm Pippa Evans, and some of you will know me as the person who started Sunday Assembly with Sanderson Jones. He's the one with the beard. But we sort of look like a pair of sort of Viking explorers when paired together. And in 2013, we decided to see if we could create a church for people who don't believe in God. And it turns out we could. And that was an amazing moment in my life, because it was the meeting of two worlds. It was the meeting of this question I'd always had about spirituality, that there was something important that we were missing out on by not having a belief, a faith, a religion, as it were, but recognizing that we wanted to meet, and we wanted to do something that was bigger, that had a bigger purpose. And then here it was, me and Sanderson having this conversation, and we decided that we would go for it. We would see if we could make it happen. And that was really where my improvisation skills came into play, because I'd spent all of this time training as an improviser. I spend a lot of my time on a stage improvising musical theatre. I do that with my group called the Showstoppers, and the Showstoppers create West End musicals or Broadway style musicals. So we really aim for that high. And we do them on stage, obviously not at the moment, but it really taught me to embrace the unknown and to step into something that might feel like, oh, I don't know where this is going to go, but there's something exciting about it. So I was really grateful for that. So Sunday Assembly came out of improvisation. And then when, of course, the theatres all got locked down during the last year, I didn't really have anything to do. 90% of my work disappeared because I couldn't stand on a stage anymore. And I was very kindly offered the opportunity to write a book, which, as Alexa said, I'm here to promote. But really, I'm just here to talk about the principles of this, because to be honest, I think this is sort of just another version of Sunday Assembly in a nutshell. It's a version of embracing life. When I think of that phrase, live better, help often, wonder more, that's very improv. That's very much what improvisation is about. So I'm here to talk about that. I think sometimes some of you done some improvisation, probably a lot of you have watched improvisation, and I think sometimes we get that becomes limited to improv comedy. So it's always a comedy show. For example, Whose Line Is It Anyway is a very famous TV show in the UK and in the USA, and this idea that improvisation is always saying funny things very quickly, and therefore it becomes kind of intimidating. But actually, I'd love us to think of improvisation as using what is available to us in the moment, or working with what is available to us in the moment. And when we think of improvisation from that point of view, we are all improvisers. We already are. So many people say, oh, I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't get on a stage and make up a musical. It's like, well, maybe you couldn't do that, but you definitely could improvise a thing, because we're doing it right now by having this conversation. Every single conversation we have is an improvisation. Every life moment, the world is making offers to us, and that's improv language. You make an offer and then you respond to that offer. So the whole world is a series of offers that we can either accept and build on, or we can block them, we can hide away, we can embrace them. And so when we think about this subject of opening up, I love that subject, because improvisation really invites us to open up and to be open to and willing to see the offers that are being made to us. So in improvisation, we talk about this accept and build. And I think that's a really helpful phrase, because it's about really noticing what is there and then working with it. There can sometimes be a misunderstanding that improvisation is like horrifically positive, as in it's sort of toxic positivity. An offer comes, we must be like, woo, this is the best, life is so much fun. We all know life is not always fun. Sometimes the offers that are made to us are really hard and we don't want to see them. And those are the times when perhaps we're not accepting them and not building on them, because actually it's easier for us to pretend it's not happening. So for us to find the bravery to accept what is happening, to really notice it and build on that, to use the skills that we have in our remit and go and carry on with our day. So if that offer comes and it's not great, i.e. a pandemic, that wasn't a great offer, thanks world. We all were given this offer, the pandemic, and we had to accept it. We had to accept that this is what was happening. And then we had to build from it. We had to find new ways. We had to homeschool children. People lost their jobs. People found new jobs. Look at this Sunday Assembly online. Here I am in London talking to you in San Diego. This is a complete improvisation moment, because suddenly Sunday Assembly San Diego says, oh, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, we'll use Zoom. Okay, well, how's that going to work? People won't be able to sing. Oh, we'll put a link in the chat and people can see the lyrics there. Okay, great. We can get speakers from all over the world, people that we wouldn't be able to see before. So we're really in this accept and build space. So many people forget to notice the offers that are made themselves. So we are always making offers. We ourselves have to improvise with ourselves. So it's one thing to work with other people, but are we actually working with ourselves? Are we accepting the offers we are making ourselves? Are we building on our own offers, or are we not really noticing our own offers? Sometimes we don't notice them, or we don't build on them because we think they're stupid. We don't think they're good enough yet. But actually, if I was going to give you 3 pieces of advice that I learned from improvisation, they would be: stop trying to be brilliant, be more obvious, and recognize that all success contains failure. Those are my 3. Stop trying to be brilliant. Now, this is really important, because in improvisation, the scene only ever stalls when someone is trying so hard to be brilliant, they've stopped listening, they've stopped connecting with the other people, and they're intellectualizing absolutely everything. And because they want to be brilliant, they might not even say anything, because they don't want their offer to be imperfect. Be more imperfect. Stop trying to be brilliant. To be obvious is to take the offer and then follow your own obvious. And this is really important, because it's about being obvious, but being your obvious. And that's sometimes terrifying, because we think, oh, if I say that, people will know what I think and they might know my take on things. Your take is so important, because your obvious is not my obvious. To illustrate that, let's just use the chat, and I'm just going to say a word, and I want you to say, write in the chat the most obvious next word, the associated word. So for example, if I said tennis ball, you might say Wimbledon, you might say, I don't know, play, you might say racket. Okay, so the word I'm going to give you is orange. So just put in the chat whatever word comes to you with the word orange. I've got juice, sunset, apple, round, bright, fruit, navel, fruit, juice, crayon, great. Creamsicle, I don't even know what that means. Great. Orange, new black, yeah, brilliant. Friend. Okay, so these are all great offers, great responses. And the most amazing thing about them is they are all correct and they are mostly different. So in this moment, we can see through this that your obvious is not my obvious, and your obvious is just as correct as my obvious, okay? So really just embracing the idea of following your own obvious, okay? But that is why recognizing all success contains failure is also important, okay? Because what we don't want, improvisation isn't about going out in the world going, it's fine, I'm following my obvious, I'll just do whatever I want. It's about being able to follow our obvious, but then notice if it's not serving us anymore, if it's not serving us, so that we actually follow our obvious for a bit, and then we can check in. Is that working? No, it's not. Okay, there is no shame in failing. In that moment, we're actually going, okay, I tried something, it's not working out for me. I'm coming back, and I'm going to find a different obvious, something else, somewhere else I'm going to go. The example I like to give for success, all success contains failure, is the first tunnel that was ever built underneath a river. which is here in London. And when they first built this tunnel, people were like, they said, we're going to build a tunnel underneath the river. People thought that was mad, right? And if you think how much we travel through tunnels now, we just don't even second guess that. At one point, someone said, we're going to put a tunnel under the River Thames. And they went, you're mental, mate. You're crazy. How can you even think to do that? What is a tunnel anyway? It was just like a really long hole. So they went and they built this tunnel. They started building it, digging it. The water kept coming through. People died, they went over budget, everyone was saying they were crazy, and eventually, after 18 years, they managed to build this tunnel. So can we say that that tunnel is a success story? I mean, yeah, we use tunnels. We love tunnels. Hands up, who loves tunnels? I love a tunnel. But it's full of failure, right? It's full of sadness and pain and failure. Things went wrong. So we have to reckon that if they'd carried on digging and not putting in new safety measures, so when some people died, they said sorry, and they fixed what was wrong so that they could carry on without losing lives. Okay, if they just carried on, question. So we have to go back. We have to check in, following our obvious. So every success contains failure. Be obvious and stop trying to be brilliant. And I think just for one last point before I go, I just want to talk about the fact that so improvisation talks about you can just make a tiny offer. You don't have to, you are co-creating at all times. You're co-creating. So you don't have to have the answer. You only need to be a part of it, which is this phrase that often comes up in improvisation, yes and. Yes and. So we're accepting and building, but we don't have to have all the answers, which is why co-creation is really the answer to everything, in my opinion. Sunday Assembly would not exist without co-creation. This group itself would not exist without co-creation. But so often we don't make an offer because, as I said, we're trying to be brilliant and we don't want to follow our obvious because we're scared. But I came across this brilliant quote from Edmund Burke, which is, "Nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do little." And I absolutely love that phrase because, again, in improvisation, so many times people will not make offers because they think it's pointless. They can only say one thing. They can only do one thing. But nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do little. Whereas I say, let's do little. Let's make sure we're doing those little things, because together, if we're doing those little things, we can open up, we can find new ways to be. We can't, if we open up too big, immediately, we're really becoming very vulnerable very quickly. But actually, if we allow ourselves to just open up a little bit at a time, we are blossoming just like the flowers that are blossoming now in spring. I'd just like to finish by reading a bit from my book, because I think it's very relevant. Please excuse some of the very Englishness in this. When you go for a walk in a park, through fields or any green space, there are these little paths where you can see many people have realised it makes more sense to walk in a certain direction rather than follow the council's approved way. The grass is worn and a new path has been created. Humans have improvised a new route by following their obvious and placing one foot in front of the other. These tracks are known in planning circles as desire paths. The people act out their desire and a new lane is made. Often councils will incorporate them into the official path system during their next tidy up, recognising that the people have spoken. Some councils will do everything they can to try to stop people going off the official track. Red and white tape, fencing, keep off the grass signs. Yet we persevere, though some may tut, because we know it makes no sense to follow the prescribed path, the path that was created perhaps without consultation, a path made for aesthetics rather than practicality. We need to question our paths, to find our own desire paths. If we are onto something, others will follow. My deepest hope is that you find your voice, speak up for yourself and for others, and you see positive change in tiny ways that forge a new path. A path you didn't know you wanted to follow, but seems completely obvious once you are there. May improvisation give you the courage to take your space in the world, forge your path and follow your obvious into new and exciting places right on your doorstep. We have an abundance inside of us. When we are able to access our abundance, we realize the riches of the world were inside us all along. Keep shifting the edge of your comfort zone. Expand it inch by inch until you find the real boundaries, rather than those that were bestowed upon you. We have no idea what's going to happen globally in the next 5 years, let alone 50, which means we need to be ready to adapt, to accept change and know ourselves inside out. We need to be ready to speak with our neighbours, to move forward even when in conflict, and find different ways to approach new and repeating issues. We need to be able to do all these things whilst laughing, dancing, and embracing the fullness of life in all its messy glory. Improv is the art of being okay when the plan takes an unexpected turn. Improv is the art of trusting your skills and your gut. Improv is the art of knowing yourself and being able to work in relationship with others. Improv is the art of failing forwards by embracing and reframing wisdom which appears in the form of a mistake. Improv is the art of yes and no and all that lies between. Improv is being able to leave the space and know you've given all you can to that moment. Improv is celebrating the brilliance of others without feeling that it diminishes your own. Improv is a world that is accessible to all, embracing of fear and full of hope. For without hope, we cannot improvise. Everything you need is inside yourself. It just takes a while to find it. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Pippa, for coming over to our little side of the world and sharing all that. And I feel like that was so applicable to everyone. I know I got out of that, every conversation is improv. And the worst conversations I ever had were when I was sitting there trying to be brilliant. Like the worst podcast I was ever asked to be on, the worst conversation was right after I'd written something for a textbook that I was being interviewed on, and it was brilliant, and I'd spent months researching, and then I had to talk about it, and I was trying to use all the big words and just disconnecting. So thank you for that. That I'm going to take that and use that later. Also, and this is really, really important, next time you visit, I will change your life. Creamsicles. They're amazing. It's like vanilla and orange. It's creamy, but it's a popsicle. It's change your life. All right. Okay, Paul, sorry. Go ahead.
I have to at least be the other side of the conversation on creamsicles.
Mute him. Someone mute him.
I was tortured as a child. My father used to make me breakfast in the morning because I had a really early class, and we had orange trees in our backyard, and he would go out and squeeze fresh orange juice every morning. And then he would pour milk in the same glass without rinsing it out. And so I had milk orange juice, and it grossed and gagged me out. And so anytime I have milk and any kind of orange thing, doesn't work. But this song does work. This is a great song. Everybody sing with me, okay? I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. Here we go. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Sing it again. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yes, I can make it now. Well, yes, I can make it now. The pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been waiting for. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, look all around. There's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. Now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. That rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Sound good? Gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Oh yes, it's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day, especially in San Diego. Bright, bright, sunshiny day. One more. Gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
All right, in Sunday Assembly, we have something called Personal Moment that actually Pippa started, although when she did it, it was called Doing Your Best, but it was hilarious. It was always doing your best while failing, which you should write a book about that. And this time we're gonna do something a little different. Instead of one person giving their personal moment, we had a bunch of people submit dumb life lessons. And so we're gonna read all your anonymous dumb life lessons that we collected from our online group. So I need our 2 readers to unmute.
I'm ready.
All right. Yeah, and I would say we asked for lessons that were learned the hard way, dumb way, funny way, or maybe some other way. So there's a variety here. So I think Betsy's going first and we'll alternate.
Okay, our first lesson. I was sitting on the side stage at a Willie Nelson concert in San Bernardino, invited by one of his band members. The Hells Angels were also there. They're apparently always at concerts. A young Hells Angel recruit walked up to me, got in my face and said, "You're in my way." Mind you, I was sitting against a wall on a box. All the other Hells Angels were watching. I tried small talk, but he persisted. I finally said, "Man, I'm not in your way right now since there's nowhere to go, but if I'm ever in your way in the future, I'll move." He paused, then snarled and walked away. Lesson? Potentially violent situations can sometimes be averted with carefully chosen words.
All right, and here's a short one. I learned through surfing that if you get knocked off your platform, hold your breath, relax, and stay calm. You will rise to the surface.
When I was a kid, maybe 12 years old, I went to a dentist and he told me that sometimes kids have an emotional reaction to Novocaine. Despite having been to other dentists before who used Novocaine with no emotional reaction, with this dentist, I started crying after getting numbed. After asking a couple of other dentists about that later, they said Novocaine does no such thing. The lesson I learned was that not all adult professionals will act in good faith, and sometimes they'll F with you.
When I was much younger, I figured out that I could fit my slimmer than normal frame under my tiny bed that didn't have much clearance underneath. I hid from my mom, who was getting more panicked by the moment as she looked for me. Then I got tired and fell asleep. By the time she found me, she was just so relieved that I wasn't dead that I didn't even get a lecture. Until I opened my mouth, that is. What lesson did I learn? That's a very wrong time to ask to go for a McDonald's for ice cream.
I got engaged during my junior year in college. My dorm had a venerable tradition of throwing people in the campus pond on their birthday. The guys thought they would do something similar for my engagement since I was the RA. They wanted to make it an even more extreme experience by tying me to two 55-gallon drums to be pulled by a rope across the pond. As I rolled, I went in and out of the pond, effectively being dunked several times. Did I mention I went to an engineering college? Anyway, the rope snapped. I got caught under the drums. Several people had to jump in. It was a complete disaster. Life lesson, never overestimate the tensile strength of rope.
I had surgery on my arms when I was a kid on April 1st, also known as April Fool's Day. When I woke up from surgery, I asked the nurse if I'd still be able to compete in my swim competition next week. I was in 2 arm casts. Also, I don't swim. Then I told everyone it was my birthday. I was focused so much on keeping a straight face that I failed to notice what effect my clever lies were having on the poor, unsuspecting nurses. Before I could yell April Fools, they had already gotten their hands on balloons and several presents. The lady at reception was even on her way to track down some kind of swim-related cake for my, quote, birthday. I learned to always say April Fools right away. And I learned that children's hospitals are magical places filled with amazing people who go above and beyond.
Oh, wow. I once got tricked into throwing a baby shower. I had a coworker for 5 years who talked a lot about her infertility. She really wanted a baby, but doctors told her it would be almost impossible. I had just thrown a baby shower for a friend of mine when this coworker asked if I would do the same for her if by some miracle she ever got pregnant. I carelessly said I would throw her the biggest baby shower and invite our entire company, thinking there wasn't much chance of that. Later that week, as I was baking my millionth cupcake and stuffing my gazillionth chicken salad croissant to feed literally everyone in our small company, I did maybe curse her under my breath a few times. She'd obviously known she was pregnant when she said that, and she didn't have any close friends to throw her a shower. But I have to say, seeing her face light up and then burst into tears when she walked into the decorated staff kitchen was priceless. We didn't know it at the time, but this would be the only child she could ever have, making the baby shower I threw the only one she would ever have. And she almost didn't have it. Thinking of it that way, I'm glad it went down exactly the way it did.
Aw. When I was 11, my best friend and I discovered that we could sneak into a construction site in our neighborhood. It had been a grand hotel in the 1800s, and it was being renovated by the city. We loved exploring the winding hallways and ballrooms. One day, while we were in one of the more open spaces, a courtyard, 3 men came through. One guy seemed to be giving the others a tour of their construction progress. Audrey and I hid behind 2 columns about 6 feet away from each other. At first, the men talked about business or construction. Then they started saying things like, there better not be any children that get in here. If we ever catch a kid in here, that would be very serious. We would certainly have to arrest them for trespassing. Audrey and I held our breath, looking over at each other in growing fear and trying to stay out of their line of sight. When the men left, we got out of there as quickly as we could. Only years later did I realize that the men had seen us all along.
One day when I was kayaking down a river with friends, I got stuck in a log jam among some rocks and I had to get hauled out and the kayak retrieved. I was soaking wet, but we continued down the river and had a great day. The next time we kayaked down the same river, all my friends missed it, but somehow I made a beeline for the same log jam with the same outcome. It was pretty strenuous getting me ashore, and it occurred to me that I might have been seriously injured. The moral of this story is remember your log jam when you go down the same river.
When I was a younger adult, I had a crush on a handsome, cute, smart, kind computer consultant who was helping me analyze a slew of data. He loved skydiving and invited me to try it out. Though it had never been on my bucket list, I figured this would be a great way to spend a day with him and maybe more. So on a Saturday, we went to a small airfield. I got several hours of training and then went up in a tiny prop plane that sounded like a loud lawnmower when it took off. When it was my turn to jump, I was supposed to step out the door onto a strut and then let go of an overhead bar. Instead, In true klutz fashion, I fell out of the door. My next challenge was trying to reach the handles to control the parachute. I could not reach them. So I did a lot of wiggling, trying to loosen up my arms from their constricted state, finally reaching the handles and guiding myself to a landing in the target zone. The morals of the story were, be careful where you step, and sometimes you have to wiggle your way out of a tight spot. And those are our stories.
The moral of the story is, don't jump out of a plane for a boy. Those were really great. I loved doing this way, and I loved all the chatter I'm getting about, ooh, who is that? Who is that?
Well, I think the way we got some of these is we promised they would be anonymous.
Right. So, but those were pretty great. If you have a personal story or something happened in your life, you think, oh, I can talk about this in about 5 to 7 minutes. Please let us know. We love this segment and we haven't done it enough on Zoom. So, and also, if you want to share your story, but you don't want to be the person on camera reading it, we have readers and volunteers that can even help you make your story flow really well. So we've had some good experiences. We just want to hear from you. So the theme for this month is opening up. And that is just so applicable to obviously Pippa's speech, but also it's applicable to our lives right now, right? We have 884 million vaccines that have gone into arms worldwide, over 200 million in our country, the US, and then that makes certain things possible to happen, like small groups without masks of fully vaccinated people, and all our teachers in San Diego Unified have been vaccinated, at least have had the opportunity, and all my kids' aides and teachers have been vaccinated. So in-person school opened back up last week, and for the first time in forever, we had to get up early and put on pants. And then for you UK people, I mean trousers. And it was amazing. I got up, dropped my daughter off at school, in the morning, and then waited all the way until slightly later that morning to pick her up because school is limited hours and limited seating and and it's only 3 classes. But just being in person, seeing a math teacher just thrilled my daughter. And both my kids just love school now. And it's great. So we're opening up, which is exciting and terrifying. It is filled with opportunities and risk, right? So I've been holding these 2 things in my head, which brings us to the new title of my MC address, Better Living Through Compartmentalization. So compartmentalization is great. It's a psychological defense mechanism that helps you avoid cognitive dissonance by putting things into 2 different categories, 2 little boxes that don't bridge over, they stay in their lane, right? And I hear you free thinkers already in the assembly oh, shouldn't we embrace or lean into cognitive dissonance? Don't we want to connect with the world through reality and science? And, to you, I say, reality sucks and I don't want to, I'm lazy. So instead, we'll do compartmentalization. It's not just for cheaters and adulterers anymore, although it works really well for them. Why? Because you have this double life that you can put into its own boxes, and they actually show people really good at this can cheat and be just so happy about it because they have, so let's take an example from the US president, right? The former US president who, I'm the greatest president. Look, I'm a legitimate politician in one camp. And then, oh, I'm cheating on my wife. I'm involved in sexual scandals. I'm, I got my friend as part of the Secretary of Interior and oh, he went to prison, scandal. And I think we all know who I'm talking about. That's right. Warren G. Harding. who cheated on his wife for 15 years, who was embroiled in scandals, and yeah, the Ohio gang was sex orgies when he was a senator, but he balanced it well. Compartmentalization is not just for President Harding. It can be for you and me. And how would this work for us? Okay, so I need a bunch of positive, life-affirming things. I need to focus on good things. Good things are in this box, right? The problem is I've been living through a pandemic and it sucks and it's over here. Good things living, bad things dying, you know. And when they cross over, it's really complicated and I hate complication. So like, for example, my cat, Millie Mew Mew, who also known as Mel Moo, also known as Millicent Lemieux, also known as my best furry friend in the whole world, and I don't know how I would get through anything without her, and I have more pictures of her on social media than my own children. She is amazing and part of my life and a good thing. How did she come into my life? My amazing kitty, Puppy the cat, name your cat Puppy when you have small children, that won't confuse them, was amazing and died of cancer. And when they're not in their own boxes, when they're all, then loving Millie makes me feel guilty and bad because it feels like it came on the back of this horrible long illness and loss. And I want them separate. So here's how we do it. Cause and effect, not a thing. Cosmic design, hell no. This is all stay in your lane, right? So I'm gonna share my favorite story from the past year that happened to my family and in my neighborhood that I love. And I'm not gonna mention any of the icky COVID bits. We can do this. Okay, no COVID, no negativity, just fun story. So a small child in my neighborhood, a little girl, got the best birthday present of her life. It happened because, well, she was living with her grandparents for reasons we won't get into because they're negative, and her family had lost their jobs for reasons, and they weren't doing well, and so she was really thinking, I'm not going to get anything, you know, this is negative. We'll go to my side of the story. So this starts with my family. We're getting grocery delivery for reasons, and I signed up on this app, and I had ordered Lunchables, and then my shopper, and every time I've had a shopper, it's always been an amazing experience. These people are wonderful, and this is the one aberration to the wonderful shopper experience, where I had this dude, never had him since, who wrote me and said on the app, they're out of the Lunchable you want, do you want a different one? And I said, sure, replace it with anything I'm not picky, just as long as it doesn't have cookies. It can't have cookies. And he sent a little picture back like, how about these? And it was a Lunchable with Oreos, being the most obvious of all the cookies. And I was like, those are Oreos, just anything without cookies. And they sent me a picture of 3 different ones, all of which had cookies. And I was like, do I explain to him that like, we're living in, you know, that doesn't matter. We've been baking a lot because we have a lot of spare time. And my daughter is learning to bake, and it's just been sweets, and for reasons. And I have gained 20 pounds for reasons, and I have a whole depression cake in my fridge right now for reasons. I don't need cookies. So I said, haha, thinking he's joking. No cookies, please. And he wrote back and said, there are no cookies in these. Like I'd never eaten a Lunchable in my entire existence. So I wrote back, you know, you can refund them if you can't find one without cookies. And he wrote back, here's a picture of the one I'm getting you. And there it is, close up. Meat, cheese, crackers, lemon cookies. My favorite of all the cookies. I've had these Lunchables before just to eat the cookies out of them and then hand the rest to my son and go, they didn't come like that, I don't know. So I know what cookies are. And I said, those are lemon cookies. And he wrote back, no, they're not. They're a second different kind of cracker. And before I could just sit there and Google the heck out of this, like, I'm right, I know I'm right. Why is he gaslighting me over these cookies? And I just said, they're cookies, just refund me. And he wrote back, No, they're not. But okay, I guess. So that's when I had to set the phone down and walk away, which was my mistake, because his next message that I never got was, and before delivery was, do you still need 5 Leapfrog Blues Clues Play and Learn Thinking chairs for $50? And because there's only one left on the shelf, I'll grab it for you. Do you need 5? And I missed this. All I got when I opened the door with my delivery was I saw this giant, colorful Leapfrog Blues Clues Think and Learn Thinking chair. If you've seen the cartoon, this will make more sense to you, but it's a huge, colorful toy. And I'm like, what? And I go in the app, 5. The fun part is I had ordered exactly 0 Leapfrog Blues Clues Think and Learn Thinking chairs, 0. So what happened is he had butt dialed, obviously, these extra things, but that's fine. Whatever you don't put in the app, you don't pay for. And he doesn't pay for, and the store doesn't pay for. It's the grocery delivery company that gets the bill. It's like on their little credit card. I know this because I had to contact, like I'm reaching out, like, what do I do with this? And their advice was, you take back the store and get cash. I'm like, and then what do I do with that? I didn't pay for this. It's just a free giant, these things go for $70 on eBay. I'm turning 40 on my next birthday. I don't need a Leapfrog Blues Clues Play and Learn Thinking chair. But you know who did? This little girl in my neighborhood who I found through a Buy Nothing group, because Buy Nothing groups by this point had blown up for reasons. And I was able to make her very happy. And that's the great story. See, it's only good things. Someday in my head, if her parents protected her real well, she'll have this memory of the time we moved in with grandma and mom and dad were around a ton. And I had the best birthday ever. And it won't start out with, because 566,000 people died in my country, or because 31 million people got sick, or because hundreds of children died, or because the world closed down. But they did. And my boxes are starting to bridge. And it's complicated. And it's complicated because good things still happen, but it's impossible for me to say, because of COVID, my kids learned to bake, because that's like saying, because people died. And I don't want to give the bad things credit for the good things either. We pick the good things out of the bad things. It's like finding your best friend in a support group for abuse survivors. You don't credit the harm for bringing them into your life. That's like crediting, yay, Puppy the cat got cancer. That's like a person finding a wedding ring in the charred remains of their home and being so happy and then thanking the fire for it. You don't want to do that either. But it is complicated. It's like, it reminds me of driving to the hospital. My aunt was driving. My mom had been killed and we were going to see her body, and it wasn't real yet. It had just happened. And on the drive, there were kids playing in the front yard. We were taking back roads. It was rush hour. And there were kids playing in their front yard, and the sunlight was abnormally bizarre, and the sound they were making, their laughter, seemed filtered and weird because everything about what they were doing was wrong. The world had ended. Happiness had ended. It was also one of the most beautiful memories I have. So, compartmentalization. Use it and abuse it with my permission. And I think that brings us to our moment of silent reflection, which we can use any way we want. You know, some of our believers pray and some of our more meditative people meditate, and I always check Facebook, but I think I want to use this time to honor those who didn't have a good story after this, but also honor all the good things that we picked out of that charred remains. So here's our moment of silence. so weird to be silent when you're online together. I think good. We have some announcements real quick. Taco Tuesdays is on Zoom at 6 p.m. It's to chat and check in with each other, and low tech but high fun Zoom categories is the second and fourth Thursday of each month. You can get all this on our meetup page. Next weekend, we are cleaning up the neighborhood together in City Heights, the thing Michelle talked about. It's a flimsy excuse to get outdoors and be in each other's presence for a few hours and assist our neighbors. These are the same neighbors who our speaker talked about last month, not our speaker, our Help Happen speaker. We hope to do more neighborhood cleanups in the future, so please let us know where you'd like us to show up and clean. And Laura put, like locusts, but with trash instead of crops. The Friday after that, in honor of National Poetry Month, we will be back on Zoom reading our found poetry creations, other poems we've written and or any poems we enjoy. The Facebook and Meetup events have examples of found poetry to get your creative spark started. And lastly, our monthly topical discussion group is the first Sunday of the month. The topic for May 2nd is the human need for connection to others and for human touch. Wow. All right, Paul Svensson, can you close us out with a song, please?
Yes, I can. This is kind of a COVID song. It used to be just about being lazy, but now it's a COVID song. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. Just want to bang on the drum all day. Everybody try that now. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. Just want to bang on the drum all day. Ever since I was a tiny boy, don't want no candy, don't need no toy. I took a stick and an old coffee can. Made me think I got blisters on my hand because I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all day. That's the thing. When I get older, I think I'm a fool. Teacher said I should stay after school. She caught me pounding on the desk with my hands, but my lips were so hot, it made that teacher want to dance. And I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I want to bang on the drum all day. So you all have hands, most of you, all of you, most of you. And something in front of you is there to be banged upon, like a desk or knees or your next door neighbor or whatever it is there. Please beat on something. Let's do a little drumming here as we sing. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. Hey, why not? I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all day. Keep it going now. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all day. Listen to this now. Every day when I get home from work, I feel so frustrated. My boss is a jerk. I get my sticks and I go to the shed and I pound on the drum like it was the boss's head. And I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. Just want to bang on the drum all day. Bang on something. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all. One more time now. I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all day. singing and drumming.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and participating. Thank you, Pippa, for that wonderful talk. Thank you for our readers and our anonymous stories, and Paul for your amazing music. Next month, we are so very pleased to welcome David Ringer, Chief Network and Communications Officer at the National Audubon Society. We'll share how birds' lives are deeply entwined with our own and how birds can tell us about the health of our own communities, what it means to be more fully human, and knowing him, more of what you can see around San Diego starting around May, which we were talking about before Simply started. So for all you bird lovers, definitely come to this next month. And thank you so much. That is it for Sunday Assembly, San Diego's Sunday Assembly. We did it. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Stick around for talks from Pippa, and there'll be a breakout room that if you join it, Pippa will be in the group you join, and the rest of us will be in the main room, and you can go back anytime. It's not locking you into any one decision, but thank you again and have a great afternoon.